We have made swim start videos in the past, but I've specifically requested to revisit this topic after a recent swim start experience that I had myself. So with a fresh look at things, we're going to be explaining how to nail the swim start whilst remaining calm throughout. I know it's really easy for me to stand here and tell you how to stay calm, how to prepare, how to nail that swim start, and they can end up just being words. But after my recent experience, I've remembered how tough it can be. Now, don't be mistaken, I'm not here to put you off, but I do want to share some of the things that I wish I had done in that swim start, but also a few of the things that I did get right. So hopefully I can actually help you with a little bit of empathy. But before we go into those details, we would love it here at the channel if you did want to support us, and you can do that by clicking on the globe and making sure you subscribe to GTN. Obviously, there's a lot of preparation that goes on race morning, but I want to rewind to the months leading in. Yeah, I'm talking about your training. And now it's easy to say, well, I've swam with other people in open water, so I'm prepared for a swim start. And I must admit, I felt guilty of that. I'm a confident swimmer and I thought, yeah, it's just a swim start. I will be fine. And actually, once I got through the start, I was thinking about all of the things that I should have practiced more in training and should have actually done ahead of the day. So this is as much of a kind of reflection lesson for me as it is hopefully tips for you guys. So you want to try to find water that's going to be similar to your race day. So if you're swimming in a lake, see if you can find a lake setting. If it's a sea swim, try and practice in the sea. I know it's not always possible, but it's going to replicate as much of the race start as possible. And then you want to try and get a group together that know you well enough. They're not going to be too polite, because when it comes to a swim start, nobody's being polite to you. So you want to make sure that you've got people swimming around you really close to you, and that they're not afraid to kick their legs in front of you or accidentally hit you with their arms. Nothing too violent, but just getting the idea of that, because you will have to naturally rotate your head more to be able to breathe in that start situation. The closer you can make it to feeling like race day, the easier it's actually going to be. And it might sound a little unpleasant, but trust me, if you can practice it in a safe environment, when it actually does come to the competition, well, it'll feel like a breeze. And it's not just the close proximity to others that you need to think about. You want to think about what speed do you actually want to head off at. Are you trying to get onto the feet of those fast swimmers? Because if so, then you can't expect to just do all of your training at a nice steady pace, relaxing in the open water. Yeah, this is me, what I'm talking to here. And then get to race start and think, right, I want to go off hard. It's a total shock to your body along with everything else that's going on. So make sure, if you are planning on going out hard at the start of a swim, that you practice some hard intervals in training. Now on to race morning, and if you can, take yourself down to the race start, preferably on your own, and just take a look at the course from the land. So look at where the buoys are, look at any markers there might be on the land, and also look at where the actual start is in relation to that first buoy. If it's a deep water start, think about where you're going to get in and where you want to place yourself. If it's a rolling start that's coming in from the land, look at the actual entry point itself, and then also how that is in relation to where that first buoy is going to be. Now, this all sounds obvious, but it's easy to go down to the start with a few others chatting away, look at, oh yeah, around that buoy, that buoy, that buoy. And when it actually comes to the race an hour or so later, it can all look very different. When adrenaline is flowing, you're in at water height, there's lots of people around you, it isn't as clear as you might think. So you want to make sure that you've totally got it in your mind. And then just stand there and close your eyes and picture yourself swimming around it. First of all, just picture yourself swimming on your own, round each buoy, which side of your body it's going to be on, where you want to be positioned. And then go back again, and in your mind still, go around the course, but imagine lots of other people around you. Imagine, especially at the start, it being a bit busy, how that's going to feel, what the buoy is going to look like from that angle. And then take a deep breath and just think, yeah, you can do this, you've got this. And going into it with that mental, positive mindset will already give you an advantage that your competitors won't have. And once you've got that course absolutely nailed in your mind, so you know, even if someone was chatting to you or you were distracted, you know where you're going, you now want to think about your strategy. So are you planning on going out hard and trying to get the really fastest line? Or do you want to stay out of the way of the masses and maybe go a little bit wider? Make sure that you've got clearly in your mind how you're going to do it and stick to that, because it's, again, very easy in that race moment to suddenly forget all of that. That said, still have a plan B, because it doesn't always work out exactly as you hope. we've covered the mental prep. Now it's time to look at the physical preparation, and starting with the really basic things, making sure you've got the right kit and your goggles especially. So making sure they're obviously comfortable, they fit well, and importantly, they are clean so you can see clearly, but also checking you've got the right tint. So if it's a really early start and maybe the sun's quite low, or you know the sun's going to be in your eyes, make sure you've got goggles that are appropriate for that. And a quick tip on your goggles, put them under your swim cap. If you're wearing two, you can put them between the two caps, and that just means you don't have to worry about them being knocked off in the swim start. And then there's the acclimatization. You might be able to get in the water before your race, and that's great. Your body can just get a little bit prepared for what it's going to actually face in the race. You can get used to the water temperature and also do a bit of a warm-up. Now, if you haven't got the opportunity to get in beforehand, or maybe it's just a bit too cold and you won't be able to stay warm enough, then at least dip your toes in, splash your face so that your body and your mind knows what to expect. And then you need to make sure you are ready. If it's a deep water start, you can probably do a few strokes of warm up and be a little bit more ready to go in the actual race. But if it's starting on land and you're running in, or it's a rolling start, you need to make sure that your body is physically warmed up. So that includes making sure you've done a comprehensive dry land warm up beforehand, especially if you want to go off fast. Communicate. Ideally, if you can before your race, try and chat with a few of the others that you're going to be swimming near to get an idea of the pace they might be going and the tactics they might have, as it gives you a little bit more of a clue of where to position yourself. But don't worry, some people won't want to talk, and that's probably just because they are nervous as well. And do remember that someone who might seem really friendly and saying what they're doing, once the gun goes off, their competitive spirit will come out. So don't take anything too personally, but it will help you just to get a little bit of a gauge of what to expect. My final piece of advice is take a breath. There's so much going on around you, you're going to be pumped. Hopefully your body is nice and warm and ready to go, but your mind needs to be calm. So just take that moment, just go back through the course in your mind and be aware of the space around you, and just say to yourself, yeah, I'm ready, I can do this. Again, I'm aware that I have stood here and presented this video and talked about all the things you should do, but trust me, it is coming from a more recent experience, and I'm going to lay myself bare and actually share with you the mistakes that I made, something we don't normally do on the channel, but if you guys can learn from it, then why not? So I positioned myself in the wrong place at the start. I hadn't taken in quite how tight that turn was around the first buoy. When I realised I wanted to be further over, it was too late and I was going to get in the way at the start. I didn't put my timing chip on properly and thought, I'll take it off and re-fasten it whilst in the water. This was a deep water start. That was a massive error. I was part drowning, trying to get my ankle in the air, keeping my head above water to attach my timing chip, and was then paranoid it was going to fall off in the start. I also didn't really prepare for how warm you get when you're working hard, and I wore a thermal vest under my wetsuit and got a little bit too toasty. And on that point, I've alluded to earlier, I did no fast training in my training. The little bit that I did do was very casual, so that was a little bit of an error. Plus, check where the exit is as well and what that's going to look like, because I looked at the course, didn't take in the exit. However, there were a few things I got right, thankfully. So I made sure I was properly warmed up and I was ready to go. I had a nice new pair of goggles with the right tint, put them on under my cap so they were perfectly secure. And I also found my rhythm quite quickly and got into the race. So there were some things that was more just a start that was not ideal. So I might have to watch this video back. But anyway, I hope you appreciate me being honest with you guys, and hopefully you can learn from this and not make the same mistakes. So good luck with your next race start. If you've got any questions, do leave them below. And if you've enjoyed the video, give us a like.